Alright, making a video. Yeah. Gonna be walking and talking soon. Flowers though. Just thought I'd do some flower updating while I'm here. But yeah, maybe it's looking quite flowery here. Yes. I like this pole idea. Eventually this will be very cool. Anyway, lots of flowers. So I'm gonna try to get some video of wildlife and whatnot. But surprisingly, very few butterflies in the area at the moment, and lots of flowers. Look at them all over there and all over there and here. It's just flowers, flowers, flowers. So very nice, very successful garden effort, mostly. Flowers starting to get rich over here now. Getting there. So anyway, probably could turn that water off. Yeah, probably good. Oh, I already did. Yeah. Okay, never mind. What was I? Yeah, sorry, I was seeing a kink in the hose. Maybe that turned it off. Oh. No, I think it's the water's off. Okay. Yeah. I have a problem with my back, sciatic. Don't really like when it goes sciatic. That's very bad. So, regular backache is one thing, but the shooting pain down your leg thing is no good. So, hopefully that won't last too long. I always worry that, it's going to become permanent sometime, that it just won't go away. And, sorry. That would make life quite unbearable. It's already horrible, but, that'll just put the nail in my coffin kind of thing, where you have to do something, because it's just too obnoxious. So, yeah, really I'm walking funny, which isn't good, so, probably just makes things worse, so maybe I shouldn't walk at all. Anyway, things to do and such, maybe it'll work out a little bit. The thing I hate about it is like a regular backache. My lower back has always been trouble. You can kind of know you got to stretch this. You got to, you can kind of feel it. It's right where the places where it hurts is the place where the weakness is. It's a disc thing, and the sciatic thing is just, it gives you no signals where the problem is. You get your signals in the wrong place, so the pain's in a place that doesn't do you any good. In terms of knowing how you're making it better or worse, what is helping or hurting. Less logical feedback, let's say. So that brings us to holiday. No logical feedback. In this ethics conversation and value conversation, I don't know how, you can't really separate ethics from a conversation about value, I don't think. Logically that makes any sense. So Piro has his relativism stuff, which is in my opinion just nihilism, and likewise Hafladay's clearly just a nihilist. He's as soon as you endorse a kind of bigotry as a premise for your distinctions, subjective bigotry, if there's any other kind, where you just say we're going to inject something non-reasonable into this equation, then you might as well just say there's no value. You might as well just say that anybody can just make it up, because you just can't do that logically. You can't say there's value and then say it can be based on irrationality, or it can be based on just some sort of bullshit emotional crap. You just don't like it, therefore it's not likable. That kind of, it's just vacant as a statement, and it just makes the whole conversation meaningless. I don't know, that's probably not the best way to say it. Just getting to this point that there has to be a rationality or a logic, the formula that you're using to define what something is. I think if you're going to call it ethics, it has to be based on something that can be logically understood, not something that's just an agreed upon, yeah, I hate those people too. I mean, it has to have more to it than subjective taste. Then it just becomes a conversation about what culture or what traditions are dominant, and therefore that's the right answer. And I think we know from history that that's not the right answer. There's no way to find the right answer. So, that's the dilemma here. And I just find it a non-starter. If the starter is going to be, I have to accept that people have notions in their head, like God, or like humans are cool, or whatever the notion is, and therefore it doesn't matter as long as the thing fits into the God says so mold. God says animals are for our abuse. Then there's no conversation. I can't respect that. It's not logical. It doesn't make any sense. God is a fantasy character. You might as well tell me underdog says so. Just can't mean anything. So let's go have our war and get it over with. Because we're not going to agree on the most important things in the universe, and we're likely to run into troubled grounds where we're going to have substantial dispute, and I'm not going to like it or accept it or live with your idiotic code being imposed on the world I live on and live in. Screw that. And so then we're just into an argument about who's got a better justification for being pissed off. The person demanding some sort of rational explanation, or the person who's claiming an entitlement to have their irrationality respected. And I think the burden of proof is on the God botherer. He has to provide the evidence. He has the extraordinary theory of creation. The biological evidence is clear and substantial. He's saying it's wrong, incomplete, unfinished, that his God did it. And he has the obligation to demonstrate that with something called a little bit of evidence. And if he doesn't have the evidence, he doesn't have a right. He has to sit down until he can find the evidence, a fact, to base his authority on. His claim to rights, his claim that I don't have a right to say that's unfounded. Unfounded should mean something. It's not founded on anything respectable. It's a fake badge. I'm a human being, therefore I can make shit up. That is not reasonable. It's just not. And like I said, especially with stuff that matters. If your philosophy tells you nothing matters, that gives you an out, but it's not going to protect you from my hostility. You're going to need more than that to overcome the fact that I don't believe that it doesn't matter. I believe it matters if 6 million Jews are tortured, and I'm not going to accept you doing what you want to do at some price that I consider to be a holocaust. You're not free to holocaust, in my opinion. You certainly shouldn't be free, and I certainly don't see any point in conceding some sort of right or acclimating to it or accepting it. It's not acceptable. Holocaust is not acceptable. So if you're going to commit Holocaust, then we're going to have a problem. At least in a democratic way, we're going to have a problem in that I'm going to attempt to have you overruled by law and maybe even properly punished. Maybe, to deter others from being assholes, forcing us to fight wars over issues that shouldn't even be issues. As Holiday demonstrates, the people with these silly value relativistic crap, our traditional values, they have nothing founding their philosophy. It's vacant. When you challenge them to explain how they make distinctions, they can't. So that should inform them that there's a problem with their philosophy that has a gaping, gigantic hole in it, and they have to fill that, or maybe they should shut the fuck up. They should try again, because they're missing. They're not performing their obligation, which is to say something complete and at least sufficient. And the inefficiency of their response, the deficiency of their "it's a human, therefore" response, the vacantness of it, the emptiness of it, should be clear to them. They should be able to see that and be perfectly aware that, yeah, that certainly looks like bigotry. If I'm going to say speciesism is okay, then why isn't racism okay? And if racism is okay, then why isn't elitism okay? So you're just, as soon as you open one ism door, you're basically opening all the ism doors. And again, you have to come back to a qualified reason. Again, judging something by the content of its character, what it is, seems the only sensible way to judge, except in cases where you can't access knowledge of character. But I'm just saying, for all these theoretical questions we're asking each other, there is knowledge of the character. We know what chimpanzees are. We know what pigs are. There's no mysteries here. And so when you make distinctions without substance, substantive cause, just bigoted cause, just irrelevant cause, traditional cause, nonsensical cause, it's clear, it's obvious, you can see it, and you can understand that can't work as a general theory, because it opens too many sloppy doors. You just can't say that humans are innately right-enabled regardless of their performance. And clearly, we as a society judge them based on their performance. You break the law, you end up in prison. It's not a crime that you end up in prison. It's an appropriate response to your dysfunction. There's an obligation to function. You can't just look like a human. You have to act like a human. An equipped and enabled human. Those are the rules. And if you want an excuse of insanity, we'll let you have it. But there's a price you pay for insanity, which is, yeah, you're not in control anymore. We'll tell you what the right thing to do is. We might even put mittens on your hands to prevent you from making a mess. So that's all I'm saying, is that kind of reasoning has to be somewhere accessible if you're going to have a conversation that doesn't have something to do with just bigotry and hypocrisy. The irony here is, I am being accused of some kind of hypocrisy, which is laughable. Certainly, it's not being proven by any quotes. It's just, it's just the act of the desperate losers. They've lost the argument, and now they have to resort to the outlandish and outrageous, disqualifying personal accusations. And it's disgusting. That's the fact. These are the assholes you have to argue with on planet Earth. They're incredibly defensive of their notions in their head. This might be a learning curve thing. Maybe it's very easy when you're young, younger, to do this ego humility thing, this breaking down of your the notion of your self-respect, and recognizing that there's not too much respectable in my visceral personal dynamic. I'm a selfish motherfucker, and recognizing that fact makes it a lot easier to go through life, in terms of recognizing and excusing even my frailties, my mistakes, and having some sort of perspective where I'm not waving the flag anymore, because I recognize this is a corrupt machine. It doesn't deserve saluting. It doesn't deserve praise, because it falls short of its obligations. And yeah, that's, maybe it's a lot easier if you go through that process when you're 12 rather than 35 or 50 or 70, because you're too caught up. Your ego is too constructed out of your perception of your kind, perception of your race, perception of some innate quality you have that justifies what you know to be your conniving and scheming personal nature. You walk in the parade following the heroes and pretending you're one of them. Where, if you have some perspective, you're going to pass on participation in parades. You're going to recognize that we have a lot to account for as individuals and as a kind, and till that accounting is done fairly and honestly, we don't deserve parades. Where else to go? So anyway, so it's just this really isn't a rational conversation with these people. If you're a value relativist, you're just a nihilist. Just admit what you are. You don't think there is any reality. You just think people with different personalities and different ability to, say it with confidence, establishes the truth. It's just might makes right. There's just no credibility. If you can't logically defend your pronouncements of value, then they're pronouncements of nothing. They're rubbish. Logical defending is all there is in terms of describing reality. If you can't defend your theory of reality logically, it's not a theory. Yeah, it's just not. It's mumbo jumbo. It's mush. It's rubbish. It's notions in your head, nothing more, and it doesn't deserve extensive debate. It deserves to be discounted. It deserves to be erased and say, start over with something rational, please. Anyway, enough of a video. Oh, this is going to be a long day. I really am fucked. Till next time, and such.